Welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show. And now, here's Jeff Crilley.
It happens every minute of every day. Businesses get passed up by potential customers simply because their sign is outdated, unattractive, neglected, or just invisible. Janice and Curt Horak with Priority Signs and Graphics are here to educate us on the do's and don'ts of signage. Welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Okay, so how did you get into this line of work?
Well, that's kind of interesting. We got into it. I was in corporate America for about 25 years, and we actually had a group of a sign company that helps other sign companies get into the business, and we had wanted to get into our own business for a number of years, and the opportunity came along, and so we had some help, and it's been great. I mean, we just finished our fiscal year. We were up 40% last year. And we're, feeling really good about it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now you're a husband and wife team. Do you have distinctive roles in the company, or do you both wear multiple hats? Or
Right.
We do. Curt really does the financials and the business part of running the business. I handle sales. Curt also does sales, but his main focus is probably the background and doing all the financials and the business part of it. But we work together, both of us doing the sales and growing the business. So.
Well, I have to imagine that you probably see the scenery different than I do. Like when you're driving down a street, are you looking at signs saying they need us?
Right.
Always.
It's kind of funny, when you go into a mall. I mean, that's usually what I look at is all the different signs and how they're made, and you see the flaws, you see the good, you learn from different signs and some of because it's really a creative business and the design is amazing, kind of the fun part of it. And so you learn new ideas and new ways to design signs.
I like that. Well, let's talk a little bit about like the psychology of selling through signage. Are there colors that work better than other colors? Like red is an eye-popping color. Is that a good color to use in a sign or a bad color?
Generally, it's a good color. Red is one of the number one, eye-popping colors out there. Red and then blue's next. But really, you want to make sure that the sign not only pops but also has some contrast to it. So you wouldn't want to put, like a light background on a light-colored sign. We really try to, red on black works well. Mm-hmm. So you want something that has contrast, and it really pulls out and it makes it more visible.
What I also see signs that are like too busy, like there's too much going on.
Right.
Janice, when you talk about that?
Well, that's a good point. You do see that, and people try to put so much on their sign that it gets overlooked and people can't even figure out what your message is. So really, our goal is to make sure that we keep the signs clean and easy to read, because most of the time people are reading them, as they're driving by. So it's really important just to keep them clean and not cluttered.
Now, what kind of signs do you guys do? Big, small, billboards, everything?
We do pretty much everything. We're a licensed electrical sign contractor, so we do the LED, the larger signs on the bigger buildings. We're currently working on a sign on top of the 32-story building downtown.
Wow.
And then we also do the graphics side. So some sign companies kind of focus either on the graphic side and the vehicle wraps and the window graphics and wallpaper, and others are more the electrical building signs. We actually do both. We have experts and equipment on both sides of the business.
Let's talk about car wraps, because I know you guys do that. Is that a big business? Is it continuing to build momentum, or was that a phase that we went through?
We continue to see strong business in car wraps. I think it's effective. And in fact, we find that we get business off our trucks when they're out installing signs. We just picked up one of our largest customers a couple months ago from them seeing our truck out installing a sign. So
what does a car wrap cost these days?
It kind of depends on the size and how much coverage, but generally somewhere around $2,500 is safe.
Wow. And then are there some statistics on how many people see that every day? Have you ever heard like number of impressions from a car wrap?
It really, it depends on, where you are, how large you're, like the Metroplex, obviously you're getting tons of impressions as you drive through. But it really depends on where your trucks are or where your cars are located. But the $2,500, that's kind of for a full wrap. So, you can be very effective with a partial wrap, and you don't have to necessarily, make the investment. The full wraps are definitely eye-catching. But.
Right. I've gone to, believe it or not, at my height, I was speaking 300 times a year, so I was running around giving all these speeches, and I went to a sign association conference, and I was just blown away by like the technological advances in your industry. Right. Things that you couldn't have done even 20 years ago are now commonplace. Do you want to speak to that?
Sure. We are seeing a lot of advances in the sign business. One of the biggest is 10 years ago, everything was made with neon. It was high voltage, used a lot of electricity, not as safe. Now, pretty much every sign is made with LEDs. They draw like about an amp or less, so you don't have to worry about the high voltage risks, and they last a lot longer. So we see quite the whole digital side, the large format, that's all become possible, and the resolutions and. It's amazing what you can put on your even like a wall mural and make it almost look like you're there with the resolution and the high quality printing these days.
And I suppose that every municipality has different rules and regulations on what you can do with their signs.
Absolutely. There's a wide range of things that you can do with your signs, but it is all dictated by the city. So everybody wants their sign as big as possible, as large as possible, but we are limited by the regulations of the city. So that's something that we handle for our customers. We will handle all of the permitting. We design our signs based on the city guidelines, so we're not proposing a sign to you only to find out that the city is not going to allow you to hang that sign. Right. So we make sure that when we design, we do design to those specifications so that they know exactly what.
I think about some historic, like downtown Grapevine. I'm sure they have some rules and regulations about how much neon you can.
They really do actually. In that historic area of downtown Grapevine, they require all of their signs to be on wood. They want them to be hand painted, and so they definitely have some interesting and guidelines that we have to make sure that we follow.
You've been in the business for 3 years, have you ever had a oops moment where you make this sign and then you realize that there's a spelling error or anything like that?
Generally, we catch those, but yes, on smaller signs. Luckily, not on larger signs, but on smaller, like ADA signs or pool rules signs. There's a lot of text, and somebody might miss something. Right. So yeah, we just redo it for them.
We did recently install a sign and just mixed up the letters on the installation. We put the L in front of the E instead of the EL. So we quickly went back and made that change.
That was fixed in less than 24 hours.
It was an easy fix, but we did.
But sometimes you end up on the Tonight Show with that kind of stuff. So.
Right, exactly.
I remember that one ad where the guy is in the end zone and he's doing the Kansas City Chiefs, and the person says, "Who are the chefs?" So how do people get a hold of you?
We have a website, PrioritySignsAndGraphics.com. They can call our office, 817-260-0700. They can email info@PrioritySignsAndGraphics.com. So there's a number of ways to get a hold of us.
Are there any industries that you specialize in or that you really would like to attract more business from because you're having so much success in this arena?
Well, we do a lot of signs with doctors, dentists. We also are doing more and more signs for new developments. The economy is good, and there's a lot of new development. So, we're doing pylon signs for new developments, and then as the businesses go in, they generally refer us to do their building signs as well.
That's great. And North Texas' economy is really strong, isn't it?
It's really great with all the people moving here.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We'll have to have you back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, when we come back, can you imagine getting schooled for free in computer programming? There is a local program that is doing just that. That's next on The Jeff Crilley Show.
More of the Jeff Crilley Show coming up.